Welcome to Toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi. Now recently I went to a flea market and picked up a Tron Lightscycle, but as you can see here it is absolutely filthy and dirty, and it's got all sorts of grit and grime ingrained in the rear wheel there. It's covered in scratches and looks pretty filthy, but it did only cost me 50p. So this video is basically going to show you what a difference a good clean and a bit of sort of care and attention can make to a toy like this. It really has been played with. It's very scratched and clearly been well loved and used, just judging by the amount of damage that it has to it. But with some effort we can actually make this look pretty reasonable again and get it back on display. So I think the first thing we're going to do is something that I often show you, which is just give this a wash in some hot soapy water. Now that should remove a lot of these sort of little bits of dirt and grime around sort of the main part of the toy. I don't think it's going to shift this stuff that's on the rubber wheel at the back. This looks really quite sort of punished and pushed in. I'm really not even sure what that is, but I still reckon that we can clean that up as well. So let's first up give this a good wash, some hot soapy water, and that will be the first process, and then we can move on to trying to clean the rest and maybe even trying to improve some of the plastic on this, although it is very heavily scratched. So after a good wash you can see it actually is looking better already. It's still very scratched, but the plastic is a lot cleaner. The main area that didn't clean though is this rear wheel. You can see that it is still absolutely caked in. Well, it's really hard to say what it is. It looks like it's just where bits of plastic have rubbed on plastic. I'm guessing it's because the pull cord that you pull out of the back to get this wheel spinning rubs on here, and then this rubs on the floor and has obviously been used on some sort of quite hard surfaces. And the plastic that this wheel is made out of is like sort of skateboard wheels or roller skate wheels. So I think the way to clean this is use the method that I normally use for everything else, which I do keep showing on this channel, but it is really the best way of cleaning, and that is lighter fluid. So I'm going to get some lighter fluid and use some cotton buds. I have quite a few cotton buds here because I think this is going to take quite a while to do, but it really will make the biggest difference to this Lightcycle. So I'm just going to carefully squirt some lighter fluid onto this cotton bud and then work on the side part of the wheel first, just rubbing quite firmly. And you can see that's actually shifting it pretty quickly. You can see there's actually a clean spot already, so if I just work my way around, yeah, that is coming off nicely, but it's going to be a slow job because we've got to do the entire surface of this wheel. But I think it really will make the biggest difference, so I'm going to persevere and do this, and we'll get this looking as nice as we can. So a bit more lighter fluid on that. It's now about 10 minutes later, and you can see I've managed to clean off a good sort of 80% of the dirt and grime in this wheel. It's actually looking a lot better. It's looking pretty red now. There's still a few little marks, and this is where the rubber has been damaged. You can see it's been scratched along the floor and got all sorts of nicks and little sort of quite deep scratches in it, and that's where it's still a little bit black, but overall that is looking remarkably good considering how damaged it was to start with. You can see on this side again it's looking a lot redder. So a little bit of work, and that's taken a 50p toy up to about £1 now, I would have said, but we're getting there. It's starting to look better. Next up, I want to try and tackle some of the sort of scratches that are on the top part of the Lightcycle. As you can see, there are some quite serious ones on the glass part, but there are also some on the red as well that are harder to see. So to treat those, I'm going to use some T-cut, the stuff that you use for sort of buffing the paintwork and plastic on cars. But I'm actually going to do this outside in the garage because I find the T-cut is a very strong smell and it does tend to linger. So I'm actually going to do that outside where it's well ventilated and I don't have to breathe in the fumes of it, and I can get that all cleaned up out there. So let's go and do a bit of T-cut work on this. Basically you're going to need a cloth and some T-cut and just keep rubbing and rubbing on the surface of this and try and sort of buff down some of these deeper scratches and make them look less pronounced. So we'll get that done now. So after giving the Lightcycle a good buff with the T-cut, I then wiped it all down, wiped off any residue left by the T-cut, and I gave it a good rub over with some bumper restorer, the sort of plastic restorer that I've shown before in some of my previous restorations. And again, you rub that in for a little while and it just sort of soaks into the plastic. And this is what the bike looks like when that's all done. As you can see, it still does have scratches on it, but they look a lot less pronounced than they did before. I'm sure you could probably buff these out if you use the T-cut for a lot longer, but it's quite a tedious process. But really the overall result is a lot better than it looked when it started. This was a real state, this Lightcycle, and I was never expecting it to look that amazing when it was done, but it looks a lot better. It's certainly well worth putting on display. Beforehand I don't think I would have even bothered sort of displaying it because it looks so sort of messed up and dirty. So you can see that with a little bit of work you can make something that looks pretty rough look pretty reasonable. I'm sure there are probably other techniques that we could have used to reduce some of these scratches, but for the moment this is all I'm going to do on this one. Really a 50p toy. Now looks, I would say, at least about a £5 toy. It's certainly going to go on display here at toy-polloi. So thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos.